Locke Meredith with Legal Lines. I'd like to invite you to join us on the next show. We have Judge Brick Wall. Judge Wall is a judge with the Baton Rouge City Court. And we're going to talk about city court as compared to district courts and small claims court and how you can use city court to the best advantage. So join us on the next Legal Lines with Judge Brick Wall. Welcome to Legal Lines. I'm Locke Meredith, and I'm very pleased to have on the show today Judge Brick Wall. Judge Wall is a judge at Baton Rouge City Court, and we're very pleased to have you on the show.
Glad to be here, Locke. Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, a little personal history.
Well, I go back to my grammar school, high school days, graduated from Catholic High in 1966, born and raised in Baton Rouge.
So Baton Rouge boy.
Baton Rouge boy all the way. Went to Catholic High, went to undergraduate school at LSU, graduated from the School of Business in 1970, LSU Law School, 73. Married my childhood sweetheart. I have two sons, Jason and Travis, 4 grandchildren now. Baton Rouge has been my home my entire life, and love it.
What did you do when you graduated from law school?
I went directly into a private practice with my father, Locke Wall Sr. The name of the law firm escapes me at the present time, but Jack
Wall had to be in there somewhere.
Wall was in there, no question. Wall was in there. There was a Wall, Locke Wall Sr., Jack A. Vant, Bill Dodd, Don Thomas, Ken Riche, a lot of old names. Ken Riche, I'm sure would like to hear you say he's an old lawyer. Floyd Falcon was in there. I was the youngest lawyer. And I practiced with that group for a number of years, and then we kind of splintered off, as some plaintiffs' law firms do. It's primarily plaintiff's practice.
And that was my next question.
Yeah, it was a plaintiff's practice. And then my dad and I and Don Thomas and Ken formed our own little group partnership. And then after that, we practiced for a while. And then when I finally ran for judge in 1999, Ken and I were still practicing together. My father had retired, and Don had moved on to his own law firm. But it was primarily a plaintiff's practice.
So you practiced general civil, but primary plaintiff for what, 25 years?
26 years, actually, from 73 to 99 when I finally ran for judge. You know, it's like anything else. When you come out of law school, as I'm sure you did, you try just a little bit of everything.
Right.
And being the youngest guy on the block, you know, I got everything that nobody else wanted to handle, and I understand that. I tried dabbling a little bankruptcy, didn't like that. A little real estate work, too much pressure there. Realtors drive you nuts. I did a little bankruptcy real estate. Primarily got out of that real quick. Then my father introduced me to the criminal practice. And I started doing criminal work. I did some family work. Don Thomas, as you may know, did a lot of family work. And personal injury work. We all did personal injury work. So my practice evolved into primarily a trial practice, family, criminal, and personal injury.
Interesting. So what got you wanting to run for judge?
I was tired of practicing law, frankly.
Wow. We kind of talked about it informally off. Let's talk about it.
You know, it just got to be, let me go back in history a little bit. When I came out in 73, the practice of law in this town was almost informal in the sense that everybody knew everybody. I mean, the gentlemen who were older lawyers when I came up, other than my father, I'm talking about Buck Klein, Peter, Sam D'Amica, those kind of guys. Everybody knew everybody, Locke. When you walked in the courthouse, in fact, the present city court building is what I would have called the old courthouse. Of course, I predate you a little bit. But you could walk in that building, and the criminal court was in there, the family court was in there. Civil court was over in the old Baton Rouge Junior High building, but most of the trial practice was in that building. And you passed everybody in the hall, everybody knew everybody. And if I shook your hand and said, Locke, you and I have an agreement or a deal, you'd shake my hand, and that was the end of it. And that's the way you treated lawyers. I mean, it was a very professional-oriented, everybody trusted everybody the way it should have been.
It's interesting, too, because I've heard Baton Rouge was unique in that respect. New Orleans folks are a lot different. Well, big city mentality.
I've heard the same thing, and frankly, Baton Rouge, I guess, was a big country town, if you wish.
Right.
And I enjoyed that. Well, as time passed over the years, it became a little bit more formal. More lawyers came into town, and I guess the fight for the dollar became a little more intense. Frankly, by the time I retired in '99, I had just kind of gotten burned out on it. I will tell you, though, that I thought about being a judge probably going as far back as 1979. I do recall walking out of the old law firm, going over to the clerk of court's office and picking up some qualifying papers. I think that's when Darrell White first ran, if I'm not mistaken. So it's always been kind of something I wanted to do. But in '99, I decided, I think this is the time. Darrell White retired, and that's when I ran.
And at that time, you ran for Baton Rouge City Court.
I did. I wanted to be a city court judge.
I was going to ask you why.
Well, I don't know why, frankly. It appealed to me. I liked the way city court ran.
It's a beautiful place.
Oh, it's a gorgeous courthouse. And I liked the way it was civil and criminal. And it's kind of funny the way I got into the '99 election. I had not heard that Darrell White was retiring. And I had a lawyer call me one day at my office and said, Brick, I'm running for city court judge. I didn't know there was going to be a vacancy. So I said, well, who's retiring? What are you talking about? He said, well, Darrell White is retiring. I want to run for the seat, and I'd like you to support me for judge. And I said, I can't do that. I'm running. now, Locke, I had not even thought about it until that moment. And it just instantaneously, I said, no, I'm running. And I hung the phone up and I said, I think I'm running for city court judge now. So as it turned out, that lawyer supported me, and he didn't run. But that's how I got involved in it. I went home and told my wife, and she said, are you crazy? And I said, no, it's something I want to do. And I talked about it, and we talked about it over the years, and I'd always backed off. You know, I had a young family, and you know,
kind of a scary thing, I imagine.
Well, it is. I mean, when your private life becomes public, and you have to put your name out there and your reputation, and you have to knock on doors, and you have to go ask people. Well, I can't personally ask for money, but you had to get a group, a committee to go ask for money. And your whole life changes. And the election process itself is such a difficult thing to go through. But I made up my mind in '99. I thought about it before. I said, by golly, I want to be a city court judge, and I ran.
Explain to the folks, because I'm not sure many people understand that the folks who are running for judges, they're not out hustling money and trying to get money, that they're not involved in that aspect just so that if they're elected, they can maintain their discretion and not be influenced.
They cannot raise money personally. You can have a campaign committee, and theoretically, you're not supposed to know who gave you money, even how much money they gave you, or anything else. I mean, it's the way the rules are. And so you form a committee, and they more or less go out and raise the money on your behalf, of course. Sure. Now, so the judges have no actual day-to-day workings with doing that kind of thing, because just for that reason, when you become elected, the idea is that you're not supposed to be involved in that, and I wasn't involved in it. No judges are supposed to be. But your committee does that for you. But when I ran, there was a committee of judicial excellence, or some name. Yeah, it was a group of private citizens and attorneys and so forth, and they interviewed us each prior to the election. And one of the questions they asked was about campaign finance, and you know, how can you be impartial if somebody gives you $500 or $1,000 and they come in front of you and all that? Well, number one, you know, when you become a judge, you know, the idea is you're going to be fair and impartial to everybody. And that's the way we approached it, and that's the way I answered the question. I said, I don't know if anybody's giving me money, how much money they give me, and I really don't care how much money they gave me. When they come in front of me, I'm going to call it the way I see it.
A man of integrity.
Well, I would hope that we all are.
That's what, exactly.
But no, that we don't get involved. The judges, or candidates for judge, do not get involved in that. Cannot get involved.
So you started as judge in '99, and you've been there since.
Correct.
What's it like?
It's fun. I enjoy it. In fact, I was so burned out on the practice of law in '99, I pretty much had told my wife, I've got to do something different. And if I wasn't going to run for judge, I was going to do something else.
I'll tell you what, let's follow up on the next segment. We have Judge Brick Wall. We'll be right back with you. Welcome back to Legal Lines. I'm Locke Meredith, and again, very pleased to have on the show Judge Brick Wall. He's a judge with the Baton Rouge City Court. Again, Judge, thanks.
Good seeing you again, Locke.
All right, let's talk about what it's like to be a judge at Baton Rouge City Court.
Well, what attracted me to the city court, I believe, Locke, was the fact that we do civil and criminal.
Now, define that for the folks.
Okay. Well, civil meaning that if you sue somebody for damages, as you
car wrecks,
contract problems, those kind of things, that's civil. Criminal, obviously, is where you would face some criminal sanction, where you might go to jail, be put on probation, that kind of thing.
Now, and the criminal is limited in circumstances.
It's a misdemeanor type. It's limited to 6 months in the parish jail, nothing more than that, or up to a $1,000 fine. We don't handle felonies. We don't handle jury trials. We handle just misdemeanor cases, traffic tickets, possession of marijuana, simple batteries, those kinds of things, misdemeanor type cases, we handle those.
And do those offenses have to occur within the city limits of Baton Rouge?
That's correct. That's correct. As far as the civil side of it, we have jurisdiction up to $20,000. And what we do in city court, which is different than district court, other than the fact that we're different jurisdictionally, is we rotate in our courtrooms. In other words, we have 5 different sections of court. 3 sections are primarily civil, 2 sections are primarily criminal. And we literally move each week, the judges do, from one courtroom to another courtroom, depending on whether we in...
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Whether we in civil or we're in criminal. And the civil criminal part of it is interesting to me because I enjoyed both when I practiced. I enjoyed my criminal practice and I enjoyed my civil practice.
Now, who are the other judges up there with you for the folks?
We've got Judge Ponder and Judge Davis and Judge White, Trudy White, Yvette Alexander, Laura Davis, and Susan Ponder. I'm the only male judge, which makes it interesting at the judges' meetings. But I'm over that. I'm over that.
They keep you straight.
Oh, do they keep me straight? I'm surviving. It's really kind of neat, actually. But no, there's 5 of us, and we have 5 sections of court, so it works out fine, and we rotate each week. So it keeps it interesting, and that's what I enjoy about it. I enjoy, one week I might be handling nothing but criminal, the next week I might have nothing but civil trials.
And of course, that's different from the district courts, because in the district courts, the junior judges are the ones who are just elected, generally handle criminal matters.
Absolutely. In district court, you're going to have your judges, as you say, the junior judges, so to speak, the ones that choose not to be on civil, some of which are like Mike Irwin, for example, has been there for a long, long time. Mike has chosen to stay on the criminal bench. But
and then Judge Fields actually decided he wanted to handle some civil, and
right,
he's
so I
doing
think
both.
he does both.
Correct.
So, but the way they do it is you're either going to be a criminal judge or a civil judge in district court, whereas in city court we get to do both, which I enjoy.
Tell me about your staff, and basically how does city court work?
Well, it works. We have a clerk of court, Lon Norris, who's our clerk, and Lon came on board about a year and a half or so ago, done an excellent job. Cindy Godan was clerk there before Lon, and then Mickey Skyring even before, and I'm sure some of those names are familiar to you. We have about 150 employees in the whole building. We're self-contained to the extent we have our own probation department, which has excellent programs, by the way.
Let's talk about those two.
Well, some of the programs we have, for example...
And we're talking about criminal programs.
Criminal programs. For example, if you're in a criminal case, let's say domestic violence, simple battery, we have programs that we can run those folks through in Baton Rouge City Court.
I mean, like if a husband and wife get into a physical altercation?
If somebody's convicted of a battery-type case, that's correct, those kind of cases. We have a PAM, which is a PAM class, which is a anger management type class. If we think they need further help, we have DVOP, which is kind of formed out a little bit, but we handle it through city court.
Now, what is that?
It's a domestic violence program.
Okay.
It's more intense. It lasts a number of months.
So there's almost levels of the amount of counseling or care that
there is, depending
wow,
on the
wonderful.
severity of the case. As I said, some of the district court judges use some of our programs. On the other end of the spectrum, you might have a misdemeanor theft case, let's say. We have what we call CEDMS program, which is helps you to make better decisions. Possession of marijuana, we have a substance abuse class we send you to. Now, all of this is done in city court. Our probation department is excellent, and we're a little bit unique in that respect, that in city court we have our own probation department, and therefore we don't need to worry about going out like the district court judges send them to state probation. We have our own probation department.
So basically, if somebody comes in and you think that this is useful, you got a pretty big stick to hang over their head and say you attend this program and you do what you're supposed to, or your hiney's going to be sitting in jail for a little while.
A lot of times what we do is we make it a condition of their probation that they attend these programs. And a lot of folks, most people do, Locke, because they're trying to do the right thing. You have some cases where they don't. And of course, the alternative is parish prison, and we send them to parish prison. So that's how it works out.
All right, and then let's finish talking about the staff. So who helps you in your particular office?
In my particular office, I have, and my staff is excellent, by the way. I'm glad you mentioned staff because they want to make sure I plugged them, and I have an excellent staff.
Well, the bottom line is we couldn't do anything without the folks that work for us.
Anybody, whether it be a judge or a lawyer, is only as good as the people they surround themselves with, and I firmly believe that.
Absolute truth.
And all the judges have wonderful staffs. But basically we have, and we're a little bit different in district court in this respect too. I have 2 ladies who go to court with me who are called judicial assistants, and they basically work with me in the courtroom. Then when we come out of the courtroom, they also serve as, I hate to use the word secretary because not really
or
secretary.
Paralegal/secretary type thing.
They perform many functions.
Right.
And probably underpaid for the work that they do and need to be paid more. But they help us in court, and they also help us out of court. Whereas in district court, as you know, you have docket clerks who just maintain the docket, and then you have the other ladies who go into court with the judges, and of course those are the minute clerks Our ladies kind of do a combination of both.
What's your caseload?
Huge.
Do you have a clue what the number?
Well, we have over 2,000 people a day that come through Baton Rouge City Court. At one point, Baton Rouge...
Jeez, man.
Oh, no. At one point, Baton Rouge City Court was the busiest court in the state of Louisiana.
Now, why is that? I guess, I mean, we're approaching 500,000 people.
Well, it's because of the numbers of people in Baton Rouge, number one. Number two, it's just the sheer volume of the traffic tickets. A lot of the cases we handle on the criminal side are traffic tickets. So all the tickets that are generated by Baton Rouge City Police go through Baton Rouge City Court. So that's one big reason why you have so many folks, because people are getting hundreds of tickets every week. It's not just tickets, but I mean, that's one reason why.
Sure.
So the volume is tremendous. In fact, there was we are considering and did seriously consider a 6-judgeship because of just the sheer volume of folks, and we haven't given up on that idea. And one day we may have a 6-judgeship just because of the numbers of folks we have. But right now we got 5 judges, and we handle it, but it's a busy court. It's when I walk in a courtroom, it's not unusual for me to look out in my criminal court 321, and there might be 150 people out there. I might have over 100 arraignments set on a certain day. I might have over 300 traffic tickets. They call them OTAs because the officers write tickets and that's their days to come in court. So the volume is tremendous. But once you get used to the volume, it's okay.
On the civil side, as I recall, not everybody in front of you is going to be a lawyer representing somebody.
No.
It's more informal, isn't it?
It is. Our civil side, the jurisdictional limit is $20,000. So anything over $20,000.
Which means if you do something to harm me, or we have a contract and my damages are $20,000 or less,
you can come to city court.
I can come to city court. If it's above that,
district
I need to
court.
go to district
exactly.
court.
And a lot of folks represent themselves. They're called pro se.
And save money.
And save money. Now, it gives me gray hairs because, as you know, I'm just being frank with you.
Yeah, they don't know what they're doing.
When they're in court, and the Supreme Court has said you kind of have to not take care of them, but treat them a little differently because they're not lawyers, and they don't know what they're doing. So you have to be very patient, and you have to make sure that they know what's going on in the courtroom. So I try to explain those kind of things to them. But pro se is a little bit.
All right,
it makes difference.
Let's talk about that on the next segment. Very pleased to have Judge Brickwall, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Legal Lines. I'm Locke Meredith, and again, very pleased to have on the show Judge Brickwall. He's a judge at the Baton Rouge City Court, and we're talking about that. Again, Judge, thank you so much.
Glad to be here.
Well, let's talk about where we left off, and that is some folks come in front of you and they don't have lawyers, and they try and represent themselves, and you said sometimes you're getting some gray hairs. Tell me what are the common mistakes and what are the issues that you see most commonly?
Well, a lot of times folks will come in on situations where, and it varies. It could be a personal injury case. Now, most personal injury cases, both folks have lawyers. All right, that's not the normal case. Contract situations, automobile type cases where you brought a car in to be repaired and they want to sue the person who they claim didn't do a good job, and they come in and they try to present their testimony, their evidence, and they do the best they can. But I mean, you have to kind of guide them along, but you don't want to step over the line, Locke, because then you're not being fair to the lawyer on the other side. Now, if you have 2 pro se litigants, then it really gets to be fun, because nobody knows what they're doing. And you have to almost referee the 2 sides. But as bad as I'm making it sound, I don't mean to make it sound that bad. It's tolerable, and we work through it. But it's the nature of the beast. I mean, they have the right to represent themselves, and they do.
What is your advice to somebody who's considering representing themselves? Do you think it's a wise thing?
Don't. In fact, I tell folks when they first come in the courtroom on a case, I notice they don't have a lawyer, I tell them, it's kind of like walking in an operating room without a doctor. Don't you think you need to have a lawyer give some legal advice or represent you in this case? Have you talked to a lawyer? A lot of people have never even talked to a lawyer. They don't realize in, say, a personal injury case or a damage suit that the lawyer might take it on a contingency. I mean, they're trying to save money, Locke, by not hiring a lawyer, but sometimes they could hire a lawyer without putting any money out, as you know.
And lose money if they don't do it right.
Exactly. So we try to educate them, and a lot of times they may come back with a lawyer, but that's on our regular civil side. We also have what we call a small claims division, where we see nothing but in fact, we encourage people not to bring lawyers in the small claims court.
And the jurisdiction there is
$3,000 or less.
So if your argument's over $3,000 or less, they have small claims court. And the reason that's good is why?
Well, because it's a speedy resolution, number one.
No appeals, right?
No appeals. You can file a motion for a new trial, but there is no appeal.
So once the judge decides, that's it. And you can try and get them to change their mind, but...
No, that's it. That's the final word on it. But it gives people who have... I mean, I've seen small claims as less than $100. But you know what? It might be a $100 case, but it's the most important $100 case that person has.
That's right.
And that's why a small claims court is important to people. And I used to encourage people when I was an attorney, because a lot of lawyers don't want to get involved in a case that's only worth $1,000.
Well, and you don't make the client happy because they don't get to put as much in their pocket, and nobody's
Exactly.
happy.
So what I told them to do is go see small claims court, go to small claims court. And now that I've seen the way small claims work, it's excellent. Now, we do have one advantage in city court is we have lawyers who volunteer to give their time to serve as arbitrators. And they hear the small claims for us, unless the person says, I want a judge to hear it. Now, I've heard some small claims and continue to hear small claims. But primarily they're heard by what we call arbitrators or attorneys who hear those cases. And the attorneys get in there, and it's very informal, and no rules of evidence. It generally lasts about 30 minutes. People have their say. They get a judgment. Off they go. So it works out fine.
And it's better than punching each other in the face.
No question about it. It's much more civil.
Let's talk about the trials that you handle on the bench. And again, there's no jury.
No jury. It's all bench trials. We hear all the evidence. We're the fact finder. We decide what goes on.
And the rules of evidence are relaxed a little bit as compared in district court, is that right?
No, not the rules of evidence. The rules of evidence are the same. What's relaxed in terms of Baton Rouge City Court on the regular civil side. Now, let's keep in mind we're talking about two different things.
Not criminal.
Small claims court, there are no rules of evidence.
Right.
On the civil side, which is from $3,000 to $20,000, where the lawyers are primarily involved, oh no, that's a full-blown civil trial, rules of evidence, everything.
Same way it is in district court.
Absolutely.
The only difference is it's a bench trial, which you can have in district court, but there's not going to be a jury for sure, and the amount of controversy is less than $20,000 or up to $20,000.
That's correct. 3 to 20, you'll have your regular civil trial, the rules of evidence apply, you've got lawyers involved, you've got your appellate process, those kinds of things. The only thing that's relaxed in city court when you get to the civil part is the pretrial procedure. As you know, in district court, you have to have a formal pretrial order. We don't require that in Baton Rouge City Court. Basically, what happens is you write a letter to the judge saying, Dear Judge Wall, I want to set my case for trial. These are the number of witnesses. This is how long it's going to take. I would normally give that to my law clerk, who in turn would go ahead and set it up. Now, some judges may handle it a little differently. If they say, Judge Wall, we want to have a formal conference with you, then they put that in the letter, and then we sit down and have a formal conference.
Do you encourage mediations or settlement conferences?
We do have a mediation process. We don't do a lot of it, frankly, in city court, but we can have a mediation. City settlement conferences, I have had those, and when we have a settlement conference, I let the lawyers know, now, do you want to have a true settlement conference where y'all going to come in and ask me, because I'm the man that's going to have to hear the case.
Ultimately decide.
Yeah. I mean, how much do you want to tell me? Do you want to say, Judge Wall, this is how much money I have, and this is how much money I want. What do y'all want me to do? So I make it very clear before we sit down exactly what they want to do. Like most lawyers will walk in and say, Judge Wall, this is how much money I have for authority. The plaintiff's lawyer says, this is how much money I want. They tell me about the case. I tell them what I think it's worth. They go back, and normally they settle.
Saves a lot of time.
So we have an advantage being the trier. We're going to try the case, and when two lawyers sit down with the judge and say, Judge, here it is, what do you think? I tell them what I think.
You kind of find out what's going to happen after the trial.
Absolutely. It saves time, and because the chances are like the decision, I tell them that day is going to be the same decision I'm going to make 6 months from now, so why go through all the hassle?
So let's summarize. Why would somebody want to go to city court versus district court?
From a trial practice, looking at it from a trial lawyer point of view, you would want to go there because it's speedier. You're going to get a quicker trial date. I believe the filing costs are a little cheaper. The pretrial procedure is less formal. So those are primary factors.
And it's a bench, which means if you decide informally, we pretty much know what you're going to do after the trial.
Exactly. And you don't have to worry about juries and all those kind of things, and I know that sometimes frightens lawyers. But if your jurisdictional amount fits in our framework, and you feel like, well, heck, I'd just soon go to Baton Rouge City Court and try the case.
Why not do it quicker and cheaper?
The jurisdictional limit, and I want to mention this before we wrap this thing up, we have a bill in the legislature now to raise it to $35,000.
Currently, it's $20,000.
Currently, it's $20,000. We're trying to go to $35,000. I'm not sure, what's going to happen with that bill, but it's our goal to raise the jurisdictional limit because we'd like to have, more folks come see us. And I enjoy trying cases. I mean, as a trial lawyer, I like the action in the courtroom. So the more cases that we get over there, the more cases we get to try, I like it.
And I think you said Zachary has a higher jurisdictional limit than...
Well, unless Lonnie Miles was lying to me, and surely Lonnie Miles wouldn't lie. Lonnie's a good friend of mine, incidentally. I played golf with Lonnie this past weekend at the Bench Bar Conference over in Point Clear, and I want to say he told me that the limit was $25,000. And I think Pineville's higher than we are. So, you know, we're trying to increase it, and eventually we'll get there.
What's the feedback you're hearing from the legislators?
We don't, Lon Norris, frankly, has had more contact with the legislators, and we're early in the process, so that'll develop as we go along. We'll see how it works.
I'm kind of hearing rumor a little bit that you might be considering running for the district court.
Can't believe everything you hear.
Tell me what's going on in your mind.
I'm thinking about it. I'm toying with the idea of running. I really haven't formally made up my mind yet, Locke. I'll do that probably over the next several months. If Duke Welch gets elected to the Court of Appeal, which he's running, then we'll see if there's a vacancy. I'll consider it and make a decision at that time.
Well, we sure would like to have you over there, Judge.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Appreciate you being on the show. This is Locke Meredith with Legal Lines. We'll see you next time.